Alright guys, let's plan a novel. Hey guys, I'm Marilyn and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing something very exciting. We are going to be planning an entire novel, and for this we're going to use the workbook that I set up that encompasses my process of planning my novel. So my copy is already a little bit bent, but there you go. I would suggest that before we dive into the rest of this video, you go get your own free Plan Your Novel workbook. The link is in the description box below. All you have to do is sign up for my newsletter. Also, if you just want to listen along, you can do that as well, and then download your Plan Your Novel workbook at the end of this video. If you don't receive the email with that workbook even after you have signed up, please check your spam or junk folder, and if you still haven't received it, please contact me via the form on my website. And then before we get right into it, please remember to hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell if you want writing advice videos every single Friday. Now let me start sharing my screen and get into it. Okay, so here we are at our cover page. This is obviously the Plan Your Novel complete workbook, everything you need in one document, and it was set up by me. Then next up you have just a little bit about me. I'm not going to read through that at the moment. You can read through that whenever you have the time, and also my social media links, which you'll find always in the description box below. Then the table of contents. So first we're going to look at how to use the workbook. Then we're going to do the basics of the novel. So this is things like the genre and when you plan to finish the book, your age category, things like that. Then there are character profiles. There are 6 character profiles, but feel free to print out more of them, print out duplicates if you have more characters that you want to do a character profile for. Then there's world building. There are setting cards, 3 setting cards. Once again, same thing with character profile. You don't have to fill in all of them, and you can print out more. Then we're going to look at setting up your main plot and your subplot. There are 2 subplot cards, but same thing, as few or as many as you want. Then we're going to have what is my favorite part, and that is the storyboard. And then there's just a final word from me. So how to use this workbook. Now, like I say on this page, you don't have to complete it in order. The process I use is the one that we'll be following here, and it's set out in table of contents, but every writer plans in a different order. You also don't have to fill in everything. There will be things that won't be applicable to your novel. So if you're writing something in a contemporary setting, maybe the world building won't be as relevant. Maybe you have more or less characters. You do you. So I would suggest that you print it out and then print it out from pages numbered 1 to 32, because I am not yet technologically advanced enough to have created an editable PDF file. So you're going to have to print it out to fill it in, and then wherever you see this little box, there will be a few tips, or 1 tip per section, showing you what to do for some help with that aspect. So here we are on the page numbered 1, and this is the basics. So here we're going to do novel title, genre, and subgenre. Now you might not have the title down right now. That's fine. As I said, with how to use this workbook, you don't have to fill in the things in order. You can fill them in as they come to you. I also have a video on picking a novel title, which I will put up in the cards for you guys. Now, genre is what your book is about, the category that your book will fall into because of the main plot. So this has a lot to do with reader expectations. So if your main plot is about people getting together romantically, then your genre will be romance. If your main plot is about a world full of magic where magic is an everyday thing, then you're going to have an epic fantasy or high fantasy, and so on. Then subgenre is, not all books will have a subgenre, but a lot of the times your main plot has two aspects to it, or you have a very significant subplot that will also filter into reader expectations. So this might be something like you have a fantasy romance, or you have a science fiction adventure novel. Then age category. Once again, I have to emphasize that your book is not for everyone. It can appeal to everyone. Sure, it'll be great if everyone will read it, but you have to choose an age category. So there's children's books, obviously, and then middle grade, which is kind of primary school, middle school. Then you have young adult, which is kind of the teen market, new adult, which is college market, adult, and then I put in other because I probably do not know of all the age categories that exist in the world. So if yours falls into a different category, feel free to mark other and specify. Then point of view, so you have first person, third person deep, third person objective, third person subjective, omniscient point of view, or bird's eye view, and then you can also specify something in there like stream of consciousness. And then your goal for when to finish the first draft. Now this is very important for me to put in, because if I do not do that, then it will take me 5 years to finish the first draft, like it did with the book that I just finished. Then page 2 is our first character profile. So as you can see, character name is up here, and then a picture, drawing, or physical description of the character. I like to use a face claim, so I will usually choose someone who looks like the character and then get a photo of them and put that over here. The role of the character in the story, the character's age, their family members, and their friends. Then there's personality, and I like to do it this way rather than having a whole detailed character profile about what's the character's favorite food and what do they like to do, what do they not like to do, how would they react in this circumstance. I like to figure that out as I go, so I definitely pants in that regard. So I like to give them a Myers-Briggs type and an Enneagram type. Now I will put the links in the description box below. You can go to 16personalities.com for the Myers-Briggs type, and then you can go to the Enneagram Institute, I think, for the Enneagram types, but I will put the link in the description box below. Then character arc. I have a video all about character arcs, put that in the cards. So I have a very basic structure for how I figure out character arcs. There are many theoretical frameworks for character arcs, but I use a very simple one, and some of them may fit some of the theories, but I don't really think about that when I'm creating it. So I like to go with, where does the character start? Where physically, but also emotionally and mentally. What must they learn or develop? What are their weaknesses? And what's the thing that's keeping them from reaching their full potential? And then, how will the character learn this lesson or develop in this way? Now here you can be as detailed as you want. You can have specific scenes in mind for how you want the character to learn this lesson, or you can just say they find friends who show them how to be a better person, or whatever. Then the breaking point, or point of no return, is my favorite, and that is where your character is at their lowest of low and they must decide whether to give up or go on. And then finally, where or how will the character end up? And usually this is the reverse of where they started, or if they have learned what they were supposed to learn or how they were supposed to develop. Then there's getting into the mind of the character, which is a very, very fun exercise. Aesthetic or mood board. This is if you have certain images that you associate with that character, even if you just want to use more images of your face claim. Then a song that you associate with that character. I don't write with music, but I really love having a song for a character and listening it before I write their point of view, so I can get into the mind of that character. And then The best exercise: write a paragraph or two from the character's perspective on one of the following topics: death, the meaning of life, grief, the darkness within. And obviously you can choose a different topic, but I just kind of wanted to put in topics that most people will have some kind of opinion on or perspective on. So usually that ends up making it into the book actually, but it doesn't have to. It's just an exercise for you to get into the groove of writing from that character's perspective. Now this is just the second character profile. There are 6. They follow the exact same layout, so I'm just gonna go ahead and skip through them. Alright, and then we get to world building. Now the first step for world building that I always do is a physical landscape. Now here we have a map. Now I'm not very artistically inclined, so for me to draw a map is very difficult. So I literally draw a map with shapes. There's a circle, that's a city. There's a square, that's the ocean, whatever. But if you are more artistically inclined, then please do that. If you use a different software to set up your maps, you can do that. You can write physical descriptions, whatever floats your boat. Now let's look at the major cities or countries within your world. So I put cities or countries because your book can be set in one country and then just different cities or towns or whatever, or it can be in different countries of the world. So the first thing is physical size. Is this a massive city? Is it a very small rural town? Is it an island state, or is it a state that takes up most of a continent like the USA? Then, and these are just for the different areas that you choose, you can name them as you want. And then the climate: is it a dry climate, wet climate? Is it cold? Is it generally hot? Is it tropical, subtropical? However much detail you want to go into. The native flora and fauna: is it kind of Arctic animals? Is it a very lush jungle area? Things like that. Then we're going to look at political system. I have a video, once again, all about creating a political system, which I will also put in the cards for you guys. So here we're going to look at the political regime. Is it a democracy, an autocracy, a meritocracy, a dictatorship? I don't know how many different forms of political systems there are, but there are a lot. And then who is in power? And for this you can have 2 different aspects. You can have who is the figurehead and who is the actual person in power, if those are 2 different people. The economic system will always influence the political system. So is it a socialistic, communistic, or capitalistic society, or do they have some kind of other system? How are the rulers selected in that system? Are they elected? Is it by succession? Do they have to compete in some kind of competition? And then does class play a role in your society, and how? And I put class here because that is what plays a big role in my current novel, but it could be something like race or gender, any kind of power dynamic that will influence who has power in this world and who doesn't. Then closely linked to politics actually is religion. So what do the people believe in? Are there many gods? Is there one deity? Do they believe in a person or in some kind of divine being? Who are the religious leaders? Do they have preachers? Do they have vicars? Do they have some kind of other person who's in charge of religious proceedings? Are there any religious or spiritual rituals? And does religion affect the politics, and how? Then magical system. Now obviously here, if you're not creating a fantasy or even sci-fi paranormal, then you won't be using this page. So the first thing is magic normal in your world, or is it extraordinary? Now this will have a big bearing also on your genre or subgenre, because if it is normal in the world, then it tends to be more high fantasy. If it's extraordinary, it'll probably be a low fantasy or magical realism. Sorry, tongue-tied, magical realism or something like that. Then what is magic's effect on your world, on politics, religion, flora and fauna? How does the fact that that world have magic make it different from our world? Then is it a hard magic system or soft magic system? Hard magic system means that you have hard limits on what magic can do. That would be something like the elements in Avatar The Last Airbender. Soft magic system is more of magic. You can do whatever you want it to do, like in Harry Potter. Then what can magic do? What can magic not do? What is the cost of using magic? Who can use magic? Who cannot use magic? And are there any other species or races, specifically magical species? And then just a few other things, technological advancement, and then a comparable historical period, and whatever else you feel like putting in there. I know it seems small on this screen, but each of these pages is a full A4 page, and you can even print it out on a bigger piece of paper if you'd like, so there's quite a lot of space to fill in these things. Next up is a setting card. Where will your novel be set? So we have our setting name, and then we once again have some kind of physical representation, a drawing or mood board, a description, a picture, whatever works best for you. Now I'm just going to zoom in here a bit. So what role will this setting play in the book? Which scenes or pivotal moments will be playing off in this setting? What mood does this setting need to convey? Is it a grimy, melancholy, sad setting, or is it bright and sunny and happy? What is the weather like? And then also classification, is it urban, peri-urban or rural? Are there any distinguishing landmarks? Is there anything interesting in the history of that setting? Who's the leader? What's the economic situation? Is there a big class divide? Or are all the people in that setting relatively poor or relatively rich? And then whatever else you feel like you need to put in there. Alright, and then here you have just your second setting card, third setting card. Now let's get to our main plot. Now once again, there are quite a few plotting strategies and theories. You have hero's journey, plot, embryo, say the cut, all of that. But I'm just using the kind of basic plot structure here. So the first thing is your inciting incident. That is the occurrence that kind of gets your plot going. Then we have the rising action and crises. So rising action and crises is where the conflict builds up from your inciting incident to your climax, and crises are mini climaxes, or climaxi. I don't know what the plural form of climax is, but yeah, so you have kind of a mini climax every time there's a crisis. Then climax is obviously the peak of the conflict in your novel, where the two forces clash, and resolution is where it comes down after the climax. What is the aftermath of the climax? Then subplots. Now this will follow the same structure, so maybe you have a romantic subplot. What will be the inciting incident? Probably the characters meeting. Rising action and crisis, kind of tension builds up. Crisis, they almost get together but they don't. Climax, they get together, and resolution is what happens after they get together. They live happily ever after, or whatever it is that you are doing. Then another subplot, and then the storyboard, which is, I love the storyboard. So as you can see in this tip box here, what I do is I put a scene in every box and then leave boxes open when I'm not sure what's going to happen there, or I know something has to happen but I'm not quite there yet. And then don't be worried if it looks a little sparse. The whole point is that you have this and you can fit it in as the ideas come to you. I also like to use color coding for different points of view. You can use it for main plot, subplot, whatever you like. So this is basically you fill in a scene in the block and the next scene in the next block. And then if you come to this point and you see oh, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I know that somewhere around here X is supposed to happen, then you do that and you leave the rest blank, and then you can see from kind of a bird's eye view where you still need to fill in your plot. And then there are just a few pages for you to do that. And then obviously you can print out as many of these pages as you need. And yeah, that is the workbook for planning your novel. So final word is basically make it your own. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that this can help you write the novel you have in your head and get a little bit of structure for that novel without getting too deep into outlining and researching that you never get to the drafting phase. If you do use this workbook, please let me know, send me some pictures. I really want to see people using it, and I'm super excited for them to do so. So that is it. That is the process I use to plan my novels. I hope that you guys liked this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And remember to hit that subscribe button and that little bell if you want writing advice videos every single Friday. As always, you can find me on my website, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. All the links are listed below, and please remember to sign up for my newsletter also in the description box below. And then I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!